All right. Thank you for the presentation. I applause. Um, and now I want to ask is about the role of Japan among the superpower countries such as Russia, America, and China. How is the Japan most powerful? What is contribute Japan of this four superpower country? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, Nora.
Laura.
Okay, next, Angeline and Rasha.
Okay, it's Russia's asking. Um, Throughout the pandemic, how is Japan? Oh yeah, throughout the pandemic, how is the pandemic affecting in Japan diplomacy? Because as we all know, Japan is one of those big countries that is affected in the pandemic. So yeah, how pandemic affects Japan diplomacy? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Nora.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Zahra. I want to ask about how was Japan's development in their foreign policy after post World War II? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for all the questions. Please give us a minute to find your answer. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna answer Rafsha's question. Japan are one of the uh, early countries that are infected with COVID-19. When COVID are on its peak in Japan, Japan closed its border to international tourists. Thus, Japan economic is at risk due to border restriction such as export and import and other economic activity.
Okay, I will answer Yandara. Wait. About GICA distribute bilateral ODA assistance in reforms. First, in loans with wide long-term low interest rates. The second, grant assistance is financial assistance that is not accompanied by an obligation to repay. And third, technical cooperation to assist the development of human research in developing countries by sending experts and volunteers from Japan, receiving training participants, sending machine and equipment assistance, surveys, or all of these are included in the form of technical cooperation projects and the others.
Jangan di-unmute. Oke, thank you, Asia.
Oke, Naura pertanyaan udah masuk. Di sini.
Okay, next I'm going to answer Zahra's question. According to what Takeshi Inoguchi said in his book, Japan has been through some developing stages on their foreign policy character. First, leaders, which Japan carried out their foreign policy with the intention to rule Asia in the world. Second, dependency. After Japan's loss in World War II, they managed to make some cooperations with the US. Third, free riders, which when Japan started to carry out their policy by focusing on their economic development, and Japan tried to avoid any risks that would give rise to conflicts from in or outside their foreign relations. Last, supporter. Japan started an important role in their multilateral relations and supported every effort that the UN did to strengthen their role in international realm.
Thank you, Gita.
Okay, so I would like to answer Naura's question. Japan and North Korea are known to not get along. So from our group, we can provide evidence of the deterrence of North Korean power in Japan through the agreement between Japan and the United States, where both countries strongly urge North Korea not to continue its nuclear and ballistic missile development programs and not to take other provocative actions. and both countries agree on the importance of resolutions against the abduction of Japanese citizens by North Korea, and both countries also agrees on the importance to properly implementing the UN Security Council resolutions against North Korea. Okay, is that clear, Naura?
Deepa, we need to make sure your question, is it the role of Japan in between superpower countries like Russia and the US? And what's their contribution for the superpower countries? Is that right?
Yeah, that's insightfully. Thank you.
Sorry, Deepa, can you repeat again?
Yeah, that before I forgot to open my mic. So that's insightfully. Thank you so much.
Okay, I would like to answer the first question. My answer is Japan is considered a cultural superpower in terms of the large-scale influence to the world. Having built its current prosperity and developed into the second largest economy in the free world through trade, Japan has to contribute to maintaining and strengthening the free trade system and world economic growth through balanced growth in trade. Does it answer your question, Dipa?
If there's no more questions, I think it's better to close our session for today. Thank you very much for listening to our presentation. I'll give the floor back to Mas Jati. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation from the group 4, if I'm not mistaken, fourth group. Yeah, it's very comprehensive, the presentation, and also some of the questions are very interesting. Like, for example, I forgot who asked the impact of COVID, for Japanese diplomacy or something like that. Yeah, actually, I wrote an article about this. How COVID-19, has becoming an trigger, for how do you say it? A trigger for big country, to compete against each other in terms of their influence, through their technology, for example, through their vaccine technology or other health-related technology. Sometimes we call it health diplomacy, or vaccine diplomacy. When you look at the bigger picture, some of the country are competing against each other, namely the China with their vaccine lineup, against the US, for example, and Japan here act as a supporter, of the US strategy, in how do you say it, in gaining influence in the Asia Pacific or Southeast Asia. Like, for example, Japan is donating, contributing like some of their development assistance, during the COVID-19 pandemic, where they are donating money for cold storage facility, because most of the vaccine produced by the US needs to be delivered through the cold storage facility, cold chain facility, because they are much more fragile, much more delicate. That's why it's quite different from the Chinese-made vaccine. So it becomes a rivalry, between those countries. And it is an ongoing rivalry between China and against the US and Japan and some other Western country to competing for the influence in the Southeast Asia. And also regarding the Japanese and North Korea, actually Japan has a strained relation, with North Korea. They do not acknowledge each other, they don't have any embassy between each other, and also there is a case, ongoing cases, where Japan accusing North Korea for abduction, yeah, where North Korea is abducting some Japanese people, and for forced labor in North Korea or something like that. And like we know, yeah, North Korea is also considered, yeah, as the biggest threat, yeah, in Japan, because like from the latest poll, from the latest survey, it shows that the country where most of the Japanese have unfavorable view, yeah, the most unfavorable country, yeah, from the Japanese perspective is North Korea. So they don't have like very good relation, I think. Japan see North Korea as a threat in the area, whereas I don't know like how North Korea sees Japan, but probably North Korea use Japan as a tool, yeah, for gaining support from their people, yeah, using what the Japanese did during the war, something like that. Yeah. They use this issue. Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. I said already that it's very comprehensive. And I will start presenting, yeah, my PowerPoint. I literally forget that this is English speaking class. I don't know why. I just remember that, yeah, you can conduct the class in an online manner when I asked you in the group yesterday, but I forgot why this class is conducted in online manner. It's because this class is English speaking classes. So yeah, forgive me, I forgot to translate the PowerPoint. Yeah, I will try to deliver the PowerPoint in English, and I will update it, yeah, to the English version, and I will upload the English version in the list later today or tomorrow, maybe. Okay, so we're going to talk about Japan in Asia Pacific. Yeah, like I already said before, Japan is like interesting country. Yeah, their influence. Yeah, you can feel their influence through their cultural export or maybe through their economic export. Yeah, whereas they don't have after they're losing after they lost the war in the Second World War. Yeah, they pretty much trying to suppress themselves into becoming a pacifist country. So they don't have a lot of military presence now. Yeah, maybe you know Japan or is familiar with Japan through their cultural export, like I said before, like from anime or I don't know, like from their car. Maybe some of you have those kind of hobbies. Yeah, you just watch One Piece Red and you become interested in Japan. That's the case, but we will see Japan as a country now. Yeah, how they evolve from the Second World War and so on and so on. Okay, so first we will talk about the foreign policy doctrine, yeah, Japanese foreign policy doctrine after the Second World War. Yeah. So we already know that after the Second World War, in which Japan lost and getting humiliated, yeah, can say something like that, in the Second World War, yeah, where they got their two industrial cities, which is Nagasaki and Hiroshima, bombed by an atomic bomb by the US, the Allies, and also they suffer like economic loss, yeah, very big economic loss. So they're trying to change their perspective. Yeah. So they decided that they will use new foreign policy doctrine after the World War. The first one is called Yoshida Doctrine. It was introduced in 1950s, around 1950s, 1951, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So it's just in a short time after the World War has ended. Yeah, after the World War has ended. So what is the main point of the Yoshida Doctrine? So the first part is they are trying to build their image as a pacifist country. Yeah, they see that war is not the way forward for them, for Japan and for the world. Yeah. So they will focusing their policy, their foreign policy around economic development. Yeah. All of their resources will be focused on economic development. Because they have like very bad rap, very bad reputation during the World War. Yeah, Japan has very bad reputation. They want to change their image that war is no longer the way forward for them. So they will decreasing, they will minimalizing their defense or their military power. Yeah. So what if there is an attack from foreign entities, because it could happen. So they are, in that case, they are building alliance, with the United States, where the United States will become like some defender, for Japan. Yeah. In exchange, Japan will allow, some of like United States Navy or Marine around the Japanese seas, in Japanese territory. They built like military bases and so on and so on. So it the Yoshida Doctrine started the partnership between Japan and the US after, and they will focusing their policy, their resources in developing their economy. That's the first doctrine. And later on, after some 20 years, in like 1970 something, I think 1977, there is another foreign policy doctrine created, Japan. It's called the Fukuda Doctrine, Fukuda's Doctrine. So Fukuda's Doctrine came when Japan experiencing economic miracle, economic boom, during the 70s. So their economy is getting better and better, in their best shape, after the war. They see that we can expand our influence. We can expand Japanese influence not only with the US, but we can expand our influence to other countries around us, because practically Japan is the biggest economy in the area. So they can expand their influence, their economy to other countries around Asia Pacific or Southeast Asia. So where will they expand their influence? The answer will be in Southeast Asia, because Southeast Asia, most of the countries in Southeast Asia is still in their developing stage. So they want to expand their influence to Southeast Asia. And why is Southeast Asia not East Asia, like for example, Northeast Asia. That's because Northeast Asia is quite hostile to Japan because like historical reason, whereas, okay, Southeast Asian country have historical problem too, historical issue too with Japan, but let's say this issue actually not dated way back like for centuries or for tens of years. Yeah? So it's easier, yeah, to change Southeast Asian perspective, something like that. And that's why they created Fukuda Doctrine, yeah, because they want to expand their influence in Southeast Asia. So first, they promise the country in Southeast Asia that they won't be, Japan won't be military power in the future. We are a pacifist country right now. We just want, we just focusing in our economy. We love economy. We love trade, and we love money. We love profit for anyone involved, or something like that. So they promise Southeast Asian country that we won't invade you anymore, like the bad old times, yeah. And also we are actual equals right now. There is no things like Japan is the leader or something. We are equals. Yeah. So they are trying to building confidence and trust. Yeah. From Southeast Asian country. Okay. So yeah, this is the big or two doctrine. Yeah. That was created in Japan after the war. The first one is trying to rebuild Japanese economy and as a way forward for Japan as a country. Whereas the second doctrine see that Japan is already have in a good position, yeah, economically. So they want to expand their influence to other Southeast Asian countries. And yeah, how I present this presentation, we will divide two aspects. Yeah? The first one is like the economic policy, and also the second one will be the defense policy. Yeah? From the economic perspective, yeah, we can say that Japan succeed. Yeah. It's very successful economically after they lost the Second World. After they suffer humiliation, Second World War, they successfully built their economy again in a very short time. Yeah, like for 15 years or 20 years, they already recovered from the Second World War damage, yeah, something like that. And as a result, yeah, because Japan is able to develop their economy, yeah, in a very short amount of time, and they are, yeah, because like a country, like a major country, want to expand their influence. They are using like their official development assistance or ODA as the instrument, yeah, for their foreign policy to influence other country in the region or globally, most likely in the region, yeah, around Asia Pacific, but also like some other country, like for example in Africa or something, yeah. Japanese ODA also reach this area. But with this ODA, Japan is trying to restore their image, repair their image, and also is trying to build a win-win relation, yeah, with other countries. Like for example, with the ODA, like for example, Japan is giving like technical project or building some technical project in other country, like for example, Indonesia. Indonesia gets their technology, gets Japanese technology, they are able to build something, yeah, which is not available at the time. On the other hand, Japan got repayment if it's a loan, or maybe they will get some long-lasting mutual long-lasting benefit, yeah, from the project. Like for example, if you are building like infrastructure, yeah, for the train, yeah, railway or something like that. If something happened, Indonesia will ask the Japanese company to conduct the maintenance or something like that, and it will benefit Japan too in the long run. So it's actually beneficial for Japan too. However, yeah, not all of the party, yeah, not all of the people, yeah, in Japan is agree to or supporting, yeah, the ODA policy, Japanese ODA policy. Why? Because practically after the 80s, yeah, in 1991, yeah, from 1991, Japan is experiencing what we call as like economic stagnation, because during the 70s and 80s, yeah, Japanese economy is very much thriving, very much going strong, but then bank, yeah, some bank in Japan is giving a loan without checking the credibility of the creditor or something like that, and they are going bust. So they are going bankrupt. So it affecting a lot of company. Yeah, they are going bankrupt. Yeah, the multiplier effect affecting a lot of company, and practically from the 90s until right now, Japanese economy is not growing at all. Yeah, if it's growing, it's probably like 0.01% or something like that. It's negligible. Yeah. So the prices, the salary, yeah, in Japan is practically still not developing that much since the 90s. Yeah. Practically they don't develop at all. So with that in mind, and also the population in Japan is shrinking, yeah, which is going to be a big burden, yeah, for government too, yeah, and also the fact that Japan is experiencing a lot of disaster, yeah, natural disaster. Like for example, in 1994 there is like Great Hanshin earthquake, yeah, or in 2011, yeah, there is like a tsunami. Yeah, Fukushima, which needs, the government needs to revitalize, yeah, the area, yeah, that is affected by this disaster, and it needs a lot of money. So not a lot of people is actually supporting the ODA policy from Japan. So there is a growing objection, yeah, from the society for ODA, Japanese ODA policy, yeah, from the domestic society. Okay, so we will discuss several issues. Yeah, the first one, we will see that there is like shift, yeah, in Japanese geographic focus, like economically speaking. Whereas until the 90s, yeah, early 90s, the United States is still the biggest Japanese partner in terms of international trade. Yeah. However, yeah, Japan see the potential, the growing power of a country in East Asia, like in Southeast Asia too, like we see in the Fukuda Doctrine earlier. And Japan start to shifting, yeah, their activity, economic activity to those areas, like for example to China or to ASEAN country, yeah. Like for example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, yeah, the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic, when Wuhan closed down, yeah, in China, a lot of Japanese company cannot produce anything because their line of production is disturbed, yeah, by the pandemic in China. So after that, yeah, in early 2020, Japanese government is advocating, yeah, their company to move out from China, yeah. At least do not concentrate, yeah, your line of production only in one country, because if something similar happen, yeah, force major happen, basically the company cannot do anything. So some Japanese company, yeah, quite a lot of Japanese company moved out from China after the Wuhan incident, and they move their facility, their production line to other countries, like for example to Vietnam. And yeah, and China was or still, yeah, the most important economic partner for Japan, where the trade and investment flow in China from Japan is increasing sharply. Okay, so where is the proof? You ask something like that. I have a graph, yeah, when someone show you a graph that is the proof. So yeah, we can see here, yeah, in the graph, yeah, that the blue line, the how do you say it? Deep blue? I don't know how to say it in English. Like the navy, yeah, or biru tua or old blue. I don't know what is biru tua in English. Yeah, the biru tua line, yeah, not the old. The biru tua line. You can see that there is the Japanese trade share with the US, yeah, whereas the red line is the Japanese trade share with China. Yeah. So we can say that during the early 90s, yeah, US is still the biggest trade partner of Japan. However, slowly, their influence is decreasing for Japan, and Japan is looking for trade partner closer to home, yeah, or within their sphere of influence. For example, we can see here China as becoming the Japan biggest trade partner, yeah, overtaking the US, especially after China liberating their economy more and more, joining the WTO and something like that, and they become the biggest Japanese trade partner. And aside from China, it's not only China. It is actually, like, for example, you can see the purple line, it's the ASEAN. The ASEAN country, yeah, already catch up with the US and becoming one of the most important trade partner for the Japan too. You can see the pattern here that Japan is trying to shift their focus, and not only that not only the US is important for them, but actually a lot of country around them is important, or have the ability, yeah, to increase their trade. And yeah, aside from that, shifting issue, yeah, Japan is actually one of the biggest supporter for multilateralism. Yeah, yeah, Japan is the biggest supporter for multilateralism. It's the same with most of the major power of or big country in the world, yeah, they are always supporting multilateralism because it is more efficient for them to create a rule that affecting a lot of country. Yeah. And also through this mechanism, yeah, supporting with multilateralism, with institutionalism, Japan is not posing threat, yeah, not acting like as a threat for other country, because Japan is very how's it, aware, yeah, that they are not the biggest, not the brightest country in terms of reputation for a long time. And also Japanese support for multilateralism, we can see that from the funding that Japan gave for Bretton Woods institution. And what is Bretton Woods institution? Yeah, it's like the World Bank and also the IMF. Yeah, Japan is pumping their fund and investment to those institutions because they want to influence, yeah, how this institution works by becoming one of the biggest donor. However, there are some problem, yeah, with Japan ambition, yeah, to increase their power. Why? Because the first one is the United States still the biggest donor in the room, yeah. The United States is still the biggest donor, and also the United States have their own interests, yeah, to keep the institution alive, yeah. And yeah, because they want to use the institution, the Bretton Woods institution, to strengthening, yeah, their position in global order. Yeah. And the second reason why Japanese influence in multilateralism is not very much felt, yeah, is because the idea of developmentalism from Japanese perspective is not very popular to Western audience. Yeah? Because Japanese developmentalism is focusing in developing infrastructure, developing the tools. Yeah, they don't really care about developing, like for example, human rights or something like that at the beginning. Yeah, although they are changing their stances later on, but at the beginning they don't really care about that. So it's just business for them. Yeah, I will give you this. You will give me partnership in the long run. That and you will pay me back. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, something like that. Whereas, like for example, Western developmentalism sometimes focusing on, okay, I will build something for you, or I will create something or making a project for you, but you have to improve your human rights status or improve your democracy or something like that. Whereas Japan is not very interested at those kind of things at the beginning. However, they change later on because more and more Western countries is pushing them. And here, yeah, we can see the percentage of fund, yeah, that was given by the country to the IMF. Yeah? Like we can see here, the United States still the biggest shareholder of the IMF. Yeah, Japan is ranked second, and other country. I think this is quite new. Yeah, probably the last 10 years or so. Why do country wants to become the biggest fund donor, the IMF, is because in the IMF, yeah, the decision-making process is decided by voting, but the voting share is decided by how much fund you put in the IMF. So in this case, US have the biggest voting share. Yeah, and Japan has the second biggest. And yeah, and there are many with the US still dominant. Yeah, Japan is point of view of developmentalism and how they want to increase their power, yeah, in the multilateral level, have stumbling block, yeah, namely the US. And also, yeah, we can see some initiation, yeah, in developing or creating regional and bilateral institution, yeah, for Japan. Like I said before, Japan is very much focusing in multilateralism. Yeah. However, like as time goes by, Japan understand that multilateralism, yeah, have met the biggest stumbling block, yeah, the biggest stumbling block. Like for example, the WTO, they still do not agreed on something after 2000, yeah, the year 2000 until now, almost 20 years without any progress. So a lot of countries tried to negotiate away from the WTO, from the multilateralism. They negotiate in the bilateral term, they negotiate in the regional term. And yeah, it's the same with Japan. After all this time, they are trying to make some FTA. And like for example, Japan is one of the leader, yeah, for the TPP or Trans-Pacific Partnership, yeah, which concluded in 2017. And yeah, this is the map of Japan FTA, yeah, Japanese FTA. We can see that the number is still relatively low compared to other countries. Like for example, the leader of the FTA negotiation in the Asia is like South Korea. They have a lot of FTA with other countries, or maybe Indonesia. Indonesia is also quite prominent in their FTA negotiation. Okay. You can watch it later. And we will talk about the security policy, yeah, Japan, where they don't have any military, yeah, power, yeah, after the Second World War. They are focusing their security aspect through the alliance with the United States. However, yeah, I don't want to delve into detail here about the theoretical or something. One thing that I want to highlight here is how the issue of rearmament, yeah, of the Japanese, or reviving, yeah, military in Japan is still becoming a hot topics until right now. Yeah, this is the Article 9 of the Japanese Constitution that was already discussed, yeah, by the group earlier, that Japan will forever renounce war as a sovereign right of the nation and the threat of use force as a means of settling international dispute, which means that they won't start war. Yeah. And they will keep their power in the land, sea, and air forces to a minimum level. And what is their strategy? So after their defeat in the Second World War, yeah, Japan adhering to the Yoshida Doctrine in the defense and security strategy, that they will they will create an alliance with the United States, where the United States can put or station their military in the Japanese area, some Japanese area, and the United States will act as a guardian for Japan. And the interpretation from the Article 9, this Article 9 is the military power will only be used for self-defense purposes. So the Japan cannot start the war, but they can defend themselves if they are attacked by other countries. Yeah. And also this means that Japan cannot conduct in a collective self-defense. What's collective self-defense? Collective self-defense is when your allies is being attacked, then you support them, with military support and fighting along them. Yeah. This is the first interpretation, although there is a reinterpretation, conducted, agreed in 2014 that changed a little bit of the interpretation of the Article 9. So like I said before, that there are push around the country, around Japan, that they need to change their stances on their pacifist stances. Yeah, they need to do rearmament or reactivating their military presence. Yeah, why? There are three important factors here. The first one is after the Cold War ended, and there are a lot of conflict, in the world, around the world. Japan is in a quite difficult position, like for example, because in the Cold War, why the United States agreed to help Japan is because they want to position their military power around the communist states, like for example the Uni Soviet or China, which is like not that far from Japan. And with the Cold War ended and the conflict moved to countries around the world, like for example in the Gulf, in the Gulf War or in the Middle East, Japan is situated in a difficult position. Why? Because they cannot engage in the war, they cannot engage in the conflict, so they only can support their allies through economic support. So they give like economic support to their allies, which in terms create the terms of checkbook diplomacy for Japan, where it's kind of pejorative that okay, Japan is only helping their allies with money, and they do not really help anyone in that sense. So their allies, like for example the United States, most of the time is pushing Japan to engage more in a conflict, so they will have a bigger impact, the help from Japan. And the second issue is that the security issue in East Asia is not the best in the world. Like we all know, all of the country around Japan hates Japan for some reason. Like for their historical reason. Like for example, China hates Japan, South Korea hates Japan, and North Korea hates Japan. So all of them hates Japan, and Japan cannot create a deterrence because their constitution said no. You cannot have an active military presence, in your country. So it creates a difficult situation for Japan. And we have to factor that North Korea is kind of lunatic, in a sense that once in a while they will fire a ballistic missile across Japan for the testing their new nuclear toys. So that's why with those kind of environment, which very unstable, some groups in Japan is asking Japan to conduct the rearmament, yeah, to make their military active again, so they can create deterrence to North Korea, for example. And the third factor is the institution factor, where in Japan, like the domestic politics in Japan, the strongest political party is Liberal Democratic Party, and they already in power for like almost 50 years. Yeah, no, there is no strong opposition, yeah, in the domestic politics in Japan. And Liberal Democratic Party is a very conservative party. They are quite far right party. Yeah. And some of the elites, yeah, in Liberal Democratic Party is very much supporting the idea of Japanese rearmament, yeah, or making the Japanese military active again. And this issue, yeah, is already circulating, yeah, in the diet, yeah, in their parliament, for some terms already, several years already. Okay, it's Azan right now, yeah. Okay, let's take a break for a while, yeah, because it's Azan right now in here. Okay, we will continue. Yeah, it's just another slide or two. Okay, so all in all, yeah, we can summarize how Japan transformed their security policy. Yeah, the power of Japanese military, quote unquote, military, or their self-defense forces is actually very strong, in the world, or in Asia, for example, is very strong. Their technology, their capabilities is quite strong. However, they don't have the rights, to engage in or to start the war. Yeah. So, however, in the last 5 years, their defense spending is increasing annually. So we can safe to say, or can safe to assume that it creates arms race kind of situation, in East Asia, where we know like the defense spending in China is also increasing annually, or where Korea and the South Korea or North Korea still engaging in a war. Yeah, we can say that East Asia is very much a very hostile environment, and with just one reckless move, it can be the hotbed for the next Great War or something like that. And also the important point is in 2014, the reinterpretation of Article 9 is agreed, in Japan, where now Japan have the rights or the ability to conduct in collective self-defense, where in the first interpretation of the Article 9, they cannot involve themselves in collective self-defense. And also the development of the alliance between Japan and the US is still going strong, especially after the 9/11, where Japan helping the US, and also after the tsunami in 2011, the 3/11 incident, where a lot of US Navy is helping Japanese society in reconstructing their homeland. So the view of the presence of the US military in Japan is very good. However, some area have like negative view on the presence of the United States Navy or Army. For example, in the Okinawa, where a lot of Navy bases are situated, they have like very negative view in the presence of US Army. Okay, and also, this is like the contemporary issue. We can say like there are rearmament issue. I already said the mega FTA issue, which Japan involved, like the rivalry between China and Japan, the immigrant, refugee, also Quad. Quad is like the new issue. It's like alliance between Japan, US, India, and Australia, where they try to counterbalancing the influence of China area. And also there is like a super aging society issue, where a lot of Japanese people is becoming older and older, and they become like kind of like, for lack of better word, burden for the government and society. Because they need to pay their healthcare, they need to pay their pension, whereas they do not contribute anything. And other issue. Okay. Although there is assignment written there, I don't give any assignment for this week in all of the classes, because next week you will have the midterm exam. My assignment is please study about the topic that we already covered up until now. For the midterm exam is probably like you need to answer question in like one is like mandatory question, and like the other 2 or 3 is like optional question that you need to choose. So prepare yourself, yeah, for the exam. And like my advice is, do not solely use PPT, yeah, to answer a question. Yeah, please read, yeah, topics. Yeah, read the books if they give you books, and use that to enrich your argument. Yeah, when you you answer the question. Because if you only answer based on the PowerPoint, yeah, I don't think it will score you that high, yeah, for the exam. Okay. Okay, there's a question. Okay, online or offline? Per the edaran ya. Menurut edaran ya. What is edaran? I don't know. Yeah. From the flyer that I received from the faculty, it's if the class is offline, you can conduct it offline. You have to conduct it offline. But if the class is online, maybe we can conduct it online. I need to reassess this. Yeah. So I will ask the team, and if we can, do you want to conduct it online or offline? Okay. Yeah. If we can conduct it online, we will conduct it online. I will give the information through the group. And yeah, that's all. I don't want to hold you much longer because it's already past the agreed time. I'm very sorry. Yeah, if you have any question, please let me know. You can email me or sending me a WhatsApp, or if you meet me and you want to ask question regarding the topic, just ask me a question. Yeah. Okay, that's all from me. Good luck in your midterm exam next week, and see you. Yeah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, y'all. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much.
Okay. I'll end the meeting.